Thank you for inviting me, London's Nighttime Borough Champions Network. I'm so excited to hear that you exist, and I'd like to bring some of New York to you today. I started walking during the pandemic, and every single image in this collage is a photograph of a restaurant or a shop window that has created our open restaurants program in Greenwich Village specifically. Now, I will also be using American and British vernacular to kind of bring the New York to you and feel the familiarity of London, which is my other home. The importance of holistic strategies, which Amy has already mentioned, are critical to engage light along with our traffic patterns, streetscapes, to bring people into the evening and nighttime economy and feel safe. We analyze the shades of night. Do you really know what's happening in your district at midnight, at 1, at 2, at 3? Of course, it's changed during the pandemic, and it will change again. And it alternates given after work activity, which could be shopping for groceries and then going home, recreation, which could be cultural events, basketball, depending on your neighborhood. The night shift starts around 11 here. The third shift, if you have hospitals in your area, cleaners, sanitation, police, all kinds of night shift, drivers, transit is happening at the night. People are going to those places to use them and working in those places. The after hours, the club kids, those of us who love to be out, are a little different than those of us who must be out at night. Here is a way of looking at the street wall. The street wall are the shops, the color of the displays, the illumination, so that we can do some window shopping, so that there is private light coming onto the street, making it more walkable and enjoyable. Here you have a little bit of a comparison of a garage that makes up the street wall on one side and beautiful shop windows. So I shall say no more. But let's include our shop windows in our planning for the street wall. Here I introduce Nightseeing. Now this is a program for walking and developing new ideas for the future of our district at night. You would be surprised at how your stakeholders, and perhaps you, just don't know what it feels like at night. I've done at least 4 of these in London. I've done many around the world, and we bring the stakeholders together into the walk and into a workshop to develop the future of night and light. Now, let's consider the fairy light. Fairy lights are a kind of UK and Australia invention in terms of terminology. In the US, we don't use the term so much, but I love it because it's economical, it's enchanting, it's easy to install, it is entirely inviting, and there is endless style and color choices. This is the cheapie that you can use to guide people to your restaurant, to your shop window, to the pavements where you are located. Now, as I mentioned, there are different names all over the world. I love the festoon, the swag, the Tivoli, the seed light. They're different sizes, shapes, brightnesses, LED, incandescent colors, etc. And we can drape them or garland them, we can structure them. And now I'm going to show you some examples. Whether it's the old-fashioned socket, the G lamp, the seed light, which is also called the glimmer, a lantern built around the light, or those holiday lights you have in storage, you can create a team effort of extending them and working with them. They might be taut, very structured, or loose, kind of draped, in any way. They can be big, they can be transparent and sparkly, they can be globes of translucency. Work with your district, the managers, the employees, the decorators to create a great, attractive sidewalk shed, we call them, or open restaurant in the street or on the pavement. Let's zoom out to daylight just for a second. The quintessential urban light are reflections from glass-clad buildings. You will not see that in the exurbs or the suburbs. I think it's marvelous. It's the only light we know of in urban centers. And here we have either a chaotic reflection or a kind of structured reflection. What would we like to make with our inexpensive fairy light? Here we can reclaim public space by looking into the distance and going towards an illuminated establishment. We can extend into the pavements. We're reclaiming public space under scaffolding. We can be very, very simple if we are Cafe Reggio on McDougal Street in Greenwich Village, because everyone knows about us already. So, let's just drape some lights. Whether it's a storefront, natural wayfinding, that is following the light, outlines, scaffolding, which we create an armature, a structure, a portal, or dynamic color changing, or those icicles that kind of change over time, or public art. We can use fairy lights, both tiny and large. The street wall, again, is just as important as the sidewalk shed because we feel safer. And we're window shopping. We might come back the next day to purchase something. That's Bleecker Street. Here again, an extended canopy or portal. I just think these are marvelous because we're taking ownership of the pavements. Now, this was shot at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, but it happens to be the same one that I think you've had at Kew Gardens, an arbor. This is a little fancier, a structure of light. You see it from the distance. You want to go through it. Boom. It's just these little seed lights, these tiny little flowers. I was shocked. I thought it was something so very professional. But no, a tiny LED flower, thousands of them, making up a portal. Here, some very smart decorators have integrated the seed lights into floral, three-dimensional decor of artificial botanicals, flowers, leaves, which then look very good during the day as well as the evening. But again, these are all closed, but they beckon us. They beckon us. Actually, this one's open in the center, but this shop is closed, but it beckons us to come back tomorrow morning. Scaffolding. Everyone hates it except for me. It's a great canopy. It's a rooftop. It keeps the rain out, and it definitely funnels people into a restaurant here on the left, or this fancy one, which are fluorescent tubes mounted to the scaffolding. Lots of way to activate the night with light. Outlines are the standard way of using fairy lights. We've always done it. Here's a very typical bold colors. You see it in the distance. Oh, let me add it. Let me see what it is. Let me see who's there. Here is something new, a net, tiny LEDs, and then big, bold outlines with those globes I showed you at the beginning. Again, traditional. Let's outline the structure of our street cafe. What will your shop owners do? Your restaurant owners, will it be sophisticated? I call this sophisticated. It's a cool and warm combination. Cool color temperature, a blue-white. Warm color temperature, an incandescent flame-colored candlelight. Mixed together, it's quite sophisticated. Or are we going to have bright and bold colors? Finally, we have actual public art here. On the left, Turin's, I love the Turin Art Festival of suspended public art projects. They're so sophisticated. And then on the right, this is one of mine in the town of Unna in Germany, the flow of the river underground that leads people to the city center. Finally, let us activate people to create our light extravaganzas. On the left, a project that we did in Cartagena, building lanterns with the local cultural district, the architects, government, all together creating lanterns, quite sophisticated, perfect color. And then we had a pilot and interviews on the street. On the right, Public Color, a nonprofit that works with youth at risk. I've been lighting their gallows for 20 years, and we create the quintessential urban string light, construction lights, into pendants or chandeliers. So I'd like to ask you, what is your night vision?